After a brief search, she quickly spotted the white sedan. At the same time, she called Javier, but he was busy with his campaign and didn't answer. With no other choice, Carmen had to contact a colleague. She gave the colleague the kidnapper's license plate number and asked them to help track the cell phone signal. Just then, a street sweeper blocked the kidnapper's path. Carmen quickly wrapped her phone in a cloth, then jumped out of the car and gave chase. Taking them by surprise, she tossed the phone into the kidnapper's car and immediately grabbed the driver, yanking him forcefully through the window. After a few kicks, the driver was knocked unconscious on the spot. But just then, the street sweeper suddenly drove away from the scene, and the other criminal in the car immediately stepped on the gas, driving off at breakneck speed. Carmen instinctively gave chase, but was blocked by police who had just arrived. She desperately tried to explain what had just happened, but because she was a foreigner, the police didn't believe a word she said. Instead, they treated her as a suspect. Seeing no way out, Carmen slipped away from the scene while the police weren't looking. Meanwhile, her colleagues were still tracking the kidnapper's vehicle. They chased them all the way to the vicinity of a rooftop. Carmen tried to explain the situation once more, but her attempt to flee had thoroughly enraged the police. Seeing that communication was futile, she had no choice but to confront them head-on. As a highly trained top-tier agent, she quickly took down all the officers. A female agent nearby watched in stunned silence, powerless to do anything but watch her escape. Meanwhile, an unexpected incident occurred with her colleagues. Their cell phones suddenly ran out of battery and shut down, completely cutting off the tracking signal. The kidnappers then discovered the phone in the car and promptly tossed it off a cliff. At that point, Carmen had completely lost the trail. Elsewhere, she was still running frantically through the streets. The police had obtained her identity information and launched a citywide manhunt for her. Eventually, Carmen was too exhausted to run any further. She leaned against a wall, gasping for breath. When she turned her head by chance, she saw a happy family inside a house. This scene reminded her of her own childhood. As a child, Carmen was quite mischievous. Whenever her parents weren't looking, she would sneak into her father's police car. After her mother realized her daughter was missing, she frantically contacted her husband, who was on duty. Upon receiving the call, her father turned to check on the situation and discovered that his daughter was actually right there in his car. In that split second when he looked away, a truck came barreling toward them. The two vehicles collided instantly. After the accident, Carmen was successfully rescued, but her father was trapped inside the vehicle. She could only watch helplessly as her father died right before her eyes, powerless to do anything. This incident became a lifelong source of pain for her, and that is precisely why she would stop at nothing to find her daughter, to evade the police search. After nightfall, Carmen quietly returned to the hotel, but as soon as she entered the room, she discovered that everything had been taken. With no other options left, she had no choice but to contact Javier again. Upon learning that her daughter had been kidnapped, Javier didn't react strongly. Instead, he urged Carmen to turn herself in, promising to use diplomatic channels to bring her back from abroad. But Carmen knew all too well that by the time all official procedures were completed, her daughter would likely be long gone. So she asked Javier to use his influence to mobilize resources and help her find her child. But Javier flatly refused her, because if the public found out that he had a daughter born out of wedlock, his political career would be completely ruined. Hearing this, Carmen was utterly devastated. She no longer held any hope for Javier. After a moment of silence, she made one final request. She asked Javier to help investigate information on local human trafficking rings, because she had decided to rescue her daughter on her own. She then contacted her colleague and learned that the cell phone signal had completely disappeared. So she asked her colleague to send her the last known location of the phone.